Hey everyone, it's Warren, and it's time to vote on which theory you thought was the best for the month of March. Here's a recap of all of the theories that won for the month of March. Be sure to vote on which one you thought was your favorite at the end. So those are all the winners for the month of March. Be sure to vote on which theory you thought was the best and should win the overall monthly prize. The winner will receive 2 IMAX tickets so they can go see Avengers Endgame in IMAX. Be sure to subscribe to my channel so you can stay up to date on all Theory Thursdays and all things Marvel. As always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof. Number 4 comes from Jeff Exodus, and Jeff believes that Loki is still alive. Jeff says, I believe Loki used his illusions, and what Thanos actually broke was the neck of one of the already dead Asgardians lying around the ship. Loki has never made a direct and obvious straight-on attack on anybody. It seems idiotic that he would falter from this self-preservation against the Mad Titan wearing the space and the Power Stone. Jeff believes that the line spoken by Thanos, no resurrections this time, was needed in order for the surprise and suspense of Loki's outcome to be there after all the previous so-called deaths. So the question is, how did Loki and Valkyrie, who was also missing, get away? Jeff says that if you pay attention to the end of Thor Ragnarok, there is a quick scene that shows the outer hull of the Asgardian ship they used to escape Ragnarok. And like a homage to Empire Strikes Back, where the Millennium Falcon attaches to the Star Destroyer, the Grandmaster's personal ship is attached to the outer hull. Just like Valkyrie, it is missing in Infinity War, nor is there anything in the wreckage resembling it. There's a good chance that that's how they escaped while Thanos was concentrating on killing a fake Loki. This is a very interesting theory, mainly because I am one of the people who believes that Loki isn't actually dead. And Jeff makes an excellent point when he says that Loki has never attacked anybody like that before. And if you do think about it, it is idiotic on Loki's part. He knows who Thanos is, he knows how strong he is, he knows what the Infinity Stones are, and he knows that Thanos has 2 of them. Why would he attack Thanos? I always thought that it was an illusion, but I never thought that it could be one of the already dead Asgardians that Loki switched. It makes a lot of sense and could quite possibly be what actually happened. It comes from Chris, and he thinks that Ant-Man is going to play a huge role in Avengers Endgame. Chris says, I think Ant-Man is going to play a major role in Endgame. In my theory, he escapes the quantum realm at least 1 to 2 years into the future, when Nat's hair is the long red braid. He rushes to the home of Cassie and her parents to realize it's been empty for a while. The lawn and hedges are very overgrown, trash is heaped on the curb, and old weathered missing person posters cover every space on the pole. He goes back to his office, he goes back to his home, he tries to find somebody that can fill him in. I think he finds Cassie, who tells him what she knows, and Scott realizes he has to get to the Avengers. He learns though they had already tried to fight Thanos with new help months after the snap and failed again, and no one has heard from them since. Scott decides to return to the quantum realm and take a new vortex and get out closer to the snap. Either through hit and miss or guidance from somebody inside of the quantum realm, perhaps Doctor Strange, Scott gets out 3 months after the snap. He drives across the country and gets to the Avengers headquarters where Nat's hair is still short and blonde. Tony, Nebula, and Captain Marvel have already arrived. He's suddenly in on the initial battle against Thanos because it's about to happen when he gets there before he has time to tell them all that he knows. After their loss again, they are now ready to listen to Scott's information. He brings with him Pym particles, his suit, and possibly directions from contact with Hank through a past time vortex on how to create the suits. Tony takes off and develops a multi-purpose quantum realm / space suit for all of the Avengers while Nat goes to find Clint, Thor and Rocket find Valkyrie, and Captain Marvel recruits Skrull and other cosmic allies. So, this is Chris's theory, and I think that it makes a lot of sense. Primarily because I don't think Ant-Man is going to get it right jumping through a time vortex the first time. He's not going to automatically land in the perfect time. He's going to get it wrong at first, because at first he won't have any control over the time vortex. But I agree that he will eventually have control over a time vortex somehow, and that is when he'll go to the Avengers headquarters and fill them in on everything. And I do personally think that the Avengers are going to fight Thanos more than once in Avengers Endgame. I do think they'll lose at first. So I think that this theory makes a lot of sense. Theory comes from Walker, and he says that Thanos will kill Captain Marvel in the beginning of Avengers Endgame. This is how Walker says that it's going to go down. We see Carol arrive at the Avengers headquarters right after Thanos snaps his fingers. In the new in-game trailer, we see banter between Carol and Thor. This is a scene that was exactly described in the shareholders meeting, but Nebula was explaining that Thanos would be in his garden. In this scene, we assume that Captain America, Black Widow, Nebula, War Machine, Thor, and Rocket Raccoon, and Captain Marvel are going to fly to space to Titan II to fight Thanos. When they get to Titan 2 in Thanos' garden, Thanos sees them and they lock eyes for a few seconds as he addresses everybody. He does a head gesture towards Thor. But he notices someone new. He instantly knows who she is because of the full gauntlet and lets out a smile. Carol rushes him, but he knocks her down easily. After the heroes fight, he picks up Carol's beaten body and starts choking her and ends up killing her. He then gives the Avengers a chance to leave or he will kill them. This is the defeat that makes them just give up. Then, Ant-Man gets out of the quantum realm, they travel back in time, ultimately defeat Thanos and bring everybody back. Walker's reasoning behind this theory is that in the battle scene and the suit scene in the trailers, we see all the main heroes except for one, Captain Marvel. Also, if they had Captain Marvel, why would they just give up and let a year pass? She wouldn't let that happen. She would do anything to restore the universe. And when they save her, she will repay them by agreeing to protect the Earth in the future by becoming a new Avenger. This could possibly happen because Carol Danvers thinks that she is invincible, so she could very much underestimate the power of Thanos. And the Russo brothers said that this movie is going to be all about the original 6 Avengers. So maybe she does get defeated in the beginning and killed, but when the Avengers bring everybody back, they bring her back too, and at the end they all fight together. And Kevin Feige has recently said that Carol Danvers will have a kryptonite in Avengers Endgame. And maybe Thanos knows what that is. Theory number 2 comes from Nico Gonzalez, and Nico says that in Avengers Endgame, Tony will record the message we see in the first trailer for Pepper, then start thinking about all the things that have happened up to this point. Him becoming Iron Man, saving the world multiple times, falling in love with Pepper, and then he remembers the dream that he had about having a child with Pepper. After this, he stands up and realizes that Nebula has been watching him. He walks past her and she asks him where he's going, and he says, "I'm not going to die like this." He starts tinkering with a part of the ship and Nebula taps him on the shoulder. He turns around to see Nebula holding Rocket's toolbox and she says, "I'll help." Cut to later, Tony and Nebula land in Wakanda and are instantly charged at by the remaining people of Wakanda. Having just lost most of their people, the Wakandans don't know who to trust. Tony and Nebula fend off a few, but soon they are surrounded by the Wakandans and one of them yells, "State your purpose." Tony says, "We just returned from fighting an alien with a glorified mitten." The Wakandans, realizing Tony is on their side, explain what happened and Tony says, "I need to find the Avengers, but first I need a new suit." The Wakandans give Tony anything he needs to make his new suit. Eventually Tony asks for the strongest metal that they have and they give Tony adamantium. They call it a sacred metal in which is stronger than vibranium and even they don't have a lot of it. Tony studies the vibranium and adamantium and figures out that there are both advantages and disadvantages to both, so he ends up using both in the suit and calls it the Bleeding Edge armor. I like this theory, especially since I've done a video on how Tony Stark could possibly make a vibranium Iron Man suit. It would make sense that at some point in time, Tony ends up in Wakanda. They're the most technologically advanced city in the world, and Tony is going to need a better suit to fight Thanos since he already lost with his old suit. And it would be crazy cool if somehow the Wakandans had adamantium, which would be a little nod to Wolverine. So this is something I could definitely see happening, and I really would hope they would say something about adamantium.